Hello aspirants, this video is with respect to the interview mentorship program to be conducted by Shubhra Ranjan IAS. I am sure all of you have given your best of efforts in the mains and must be eagerly waiting for the interview. As you know, interview is a last hurdle before you achieve your cherished goal. So let us take interview preparation with the utmost seriousness and the professionalism required. Let us not leave any stone unturned. I need not to remind you the weightage of the interview marks in the overall scheme of the examination. This is the only step which consists of 275 marks. To have a good rank in interview, you have to cross minimum 200 and above. So you should target minimum 200 marks. So if you see in none of the papers in the mains, whether it is your optional paper or whether it is your GS paper, independently you can get 200 marks, but you can get, there is a possibility students have got 200 plus marks who have got the required and the decent ranks. So first of all, before starting the preparation, we have to understand the gravity and we cannot adopt the casual approach at all. Now, how should we start the interview preparation? So, first thing is always look at the UPSC guidelines. So, I am sure you have seen UPSC guidelines, but at the same time, it is worth that we once again look at the UPSC guidelines with more seriousness. Okay, so this part is taken from the Gazette, and what all is the expectation in the interview is itself mentioned here. I have highlighted these particular parts. So what does the interview, what you need to prepare? So you have to see that it is mentioned the candidate will be interviewed by a board who will have before them a record of his career. So now this points toward your detailed application form. So obviously when a candidate sits in front of the interview board and interview board has to start the conversation, the first thing they have in front of them is your DAF or detailed application form. So the first thing any candidate has to do is a thorough preparation of the DAF. Each and every word which you will be mentioning in your DAF, we will also be conducting a special session on filling the DAF. And before filling the DAF, it is very important that all of you understand your job preferences. You should understand which job comes with which type of responsibility, which type of scope of authority, and so on. Again, sometimes students fill the columns like hobbies very casually and later on they repent. So we do not want that you commit the mistake at any step, and DAF is going to be the first thing that even UPSC expect that you should be preparing it seriously. So the experts at Shubhra Ranjan IAS will help you in handling this aspect of the examination. There will be the personalized sessions, because each person has its unique history, each person has its unique experience. So this is the time when we should look for personalized approach, and the mentors here, the teachers at Shubhra Ranjan IAS, will be helping you at the very personal level so that you can fill your DAF with utmost perfection, and they will also guide you which type of questions are expected from the DAF. It will be ranging from your personal information, from your educational background, from your professional experience, if any. So let us do it things at this stage, at least this DAF has to be prepared, I will say, not just scientifically but very clinically. We cannot take any chance at all at this stage. To clear interview, it is very essential that we understand both the art of personality test, the philosophy of the personality test, and the science of it. The art of it, the science of it, and the philosophy behind it. More thoroughly you will understand the process, the entire exam, much better you will be prepared. So what we are going to do it is the personalized sessions which the students on their DAF, and we will try to ensure that you cover all the aspects related to your DAF. Now the next thing is, a candidate will be asked on the matters of general interest. Why? See, preparing anything, but you should also know the why question behind it. Why UPSC want you to know about the general interest? Because first thing, you are going to join the public service. The bureaucracy in India is also a generalist one, and you will have to deal with the common people. So your general area of interest will reflect whether you are the right kind of the personality or not. The object of interview, they have already defined, is to assess the suitability of the candidate for the career in public service by the board of competent and unbiased observers. So this is something which we have to leave on UPSC, but we have to examine and we have to understand what are the requirements for the public service. What is an expectation from a public service? What is an expectation from the public servant in a developing country like India? What personality traits I should have? So I understand that personality is a result of nature, but nurture also plays a role. Personality is something a long term and a evolving process, but we will try to do whatever we can do at this particular stage so that you can make what all arrangements, what all changes are required, or what all your strengths, your weaknesses, you understand yourself thoroughly and you orient yourself to the personality examination, and which is meant for the public service. Now, the test is intended to judge the mental caliber of the candidate. I have already told you that the entire, whether it is a prelims or it is a mains or it is an interview, the objective is always to test the mental caliber, because you are going to perform in the field where ultimately what will play the role? Your mental caliber. So how you look at the things, how you handle the situations of the pressure, how you manage, whether you have a social intelligence or not, because you are going to deal with the human beings. So dealing with human beings is one of the toughest thing. So the persons, bureaucracy is known as what? The steel frame of the country. So you should be as strong as steel. You should know how to manage the things, how to handle the challenges and the pressure. So that is why there are often lot of situational questions also, and these situational questions help to understand the problem solving skill and the mental caliber of a candidate. Now, the next is, in broad term, this is really an assessment of not only his intellectual qualities but also the social traits. So I always tell social intelligence and emotional intelligence is much more important than your intellectual traits or intellectual qualities. How much you know, how much the knowledge you have gained from the books, but whether you have also gained knowledge from the book of life, that is very important. Have a very practical perspective about looking at the things. Next, his interest in current affairs. They have specifically mentioned about the current affairs. Sometimes students or the mentors tell this is not a knowledge test, but I disagree. This is a personality test, but knowledge which you have is also a component of your personality, and they really want that you should be aware of the current affairs. Now, keeping this in mind, our interview program will also be including certain sections. Certain sections, for example, economy section will play a very important role in this context. Lot of things are happening on the economic front. Now, whether a student understand the issues, whether a student is able to take the right position on the issues. I will not even say the balanced position. Balanced is important, but the right position on the issues. We all believe that the practice makes man perfect, and we will ensure that you practice these type of questions so that when you perform in the interview board, it should be as flawless as possible. Now, some of the qualities which they are judging is the mental alertness, whether you listen to the question properly, critical power of assimilation. I always tell, don't mug up the things, understand the things logically. Many students don't even understand the meaning of critical. Critical means not criticism, but logical analysis. Clear and logical exposition. Clear and logical exposition is possible only when you know the things in depth, not otherwise. So it is required that you brush up the current affairs as well as your basics, and you should have very good conceptual clarity over the farm laws. You should have conceptual clarity over the cyber security. There are a lot that can be asked, and it is very high time that you should start reading the newspapers and at least start watching the debates on Rajya Sabha TV, because you will get clarity through the debates, and the experts of a particular field come, and you also get to understand the government's perspective. Now, balance of judgment, UPSC has mentioned, which in my language the right one. The variety and the depth of interest you should have, because you are not going for doing a research or a PhD on a specific topic. You are going to be in a civil services, and we have a generalized bureaucracy. So a person should have a multi-dimensional personality. He should be a very lively person, a multi-dimensional personality. He should appear to be an asset. Like you need to appear, you need to project yourself that you are going to be the asset in the organization where you are inducted, and you are capable of performing the diverse roles. Ability for social cohesion and leadership. Intellectual and moral integrity. This integrity thing is very important. I always emphasize on integrity aspect. Sometimes students want to impress the interview board. Why? Suppose an interview board asks the question, what are your weaknesses? And we don't want to project our weaknesses. Every human being has a weakness. It is not important what question is asked. You have to go beyond it. You have to understand why this question is asked. Is the examiner going to listen what I speak, or the examiner is going to see my body language? Is the examiner is going to see how smart my answer is, or is examiner will give me more marks if my answer is honest? So honesty and integrity is required for any good officer, and hence you have to understand, you have to open, you have to read between the lines, understand the things in depth. Now, the Gazette also mentions the technique of interview is not that of a strict cross examination, but of a natural, though directed and purposive conversation. Purposive conversation means they want to extract something out of you, which they are looking for certain qualities, and they will be going for a conversation in this manner that they can get, they can understand, they can evaluate you on the standards which they want. Fine. Which is intended to reveal the mental qualities of the candidate. Fine. So ultimately it is your mental qualities that will play the role in the situations of administration. Your alertness, you will have to take decisions. For example, if I say Machiavelli says what? A prince has to be brave like lion and the clever like fox. So you will be the prince, you will be in the field, you will have to take the decisions. On your decision will be dependent on the life of so many people. You cannot take it very casually. You have to fulfill the responsibility that is to be given. So this particular position is not meant for anybody and everybody. You may have intellectual capability, you may have performed in mains very well, but if you have not performed well in interview, the mains marks will bring you to the interview room, but it is your interview's performance that is going to give you the rank for which you have made an effort. Now, let us see, the interview test is not intended to test either of the specialized or general knowledge of the candidate, which has already been tested through written papers. They are expected to have taken an intelligent interest not only in their special subject of academic study, but also in the events which are happening around. So very important that you should understand, and they have specifically mentioned that don't just learn for the sake of learning, but you should have intelligent, purposive interest in what all is happening around. Fine. So this intelligent and is interest, this itself will reflect the traits of your personality, and they want you should know things about your state. That is why in the DAF also your state is mentioned. You have to prepare on state, you have to prepare on national events as well as on international events, as well as the new discoveries which should rouse the curiosity of the well-educated youth. So starting from your academic background, the job, etc., whatever new is happening, whatever new discourses are happening, you should not appear to be an ignorant person. You should appear to be a knowledgeable person. Now, just you have to understand things, whatever I have said so far, that personality is an organic process. It evolves over a period of time, but that does not mean that we cannot do anything at this point of time. So we can certainly groom the personality at this point of time. So we should make whatever is possible in a given situation to make us better and better. Fine. So every personality has its unique elements. Our experts will help you to find out your unique elements and how, if you are smart enough, you can even project your weakness as an element of strength. Ultimately, in interview, you are going for a conversation. You have to converse with person, that a person wants to talk with you. You should appear an interesting person where a interviewer finds that it is worth and it is interesting to talk with you. Fine. Now this you already know that you have 20 to 25 minutes at the max, for where the total marks are 275 and at least 200 plus has to be a target. So when there is so much fight at 1 marks, how much effort we have to put at this level, I need not to tell. Fine. Now you have to understand that in interview, one good thing is predictability, because obviously DAF plays the role which you will prepare thoroughly. Optional you have already prepared and cleared, and the current understandings and happenings you need to develop. So take the advantage of the predictable aspect of an interview. This is your smartness. You can shape the interview. You can give direction to the interview. For example, if somebody asks, normally they may ask, who is your favorite thinker? So you should know at which point of time you should stop, whom I should talk about. Suppose if I say Machiavelli is my favorite thinker, then obviously the second question will be why. So why? Because he talks about national interest. If I am comfortable with international relations, obviously I can, from whatever I will speak, the question will come from there. Fine. Next, preparation. It is said it is a personality interview, but and knowledge does not play much important role, but my experience says yes, knowledge will play important role. The knowledge of current affairs, where Indian economy is growing, where global economy is growing, where COVID, what are the impacts, what are knowledge. You cannot, you need to study the current affairs. You need not to study your optional, but you need to know what all is happening around you. Yes, board and subjectivity issue, from board to board, the marks vary, but something which is not in our control, we need not to think about it. We have to focus on what we can do on our end. Then etiquette and demeanor of a civil servant. How you may be thinking of joining IFS, you may be thinking of joining IAS. So we need to brush up what are the etiquettes and a demeanor. You will be representing the country, so whether you are suitable, whether you understand these things or not, a civil servant, which type of expression that person should have, which type of personality that person should have, how that person should conduct himself or herself in the public. So our experts here will help you in grooming and chiseling your personality. And obviously the last lap, this is the last step, but the most important step, and we cannot leave any stone unturned at this stage. So we are going to have a personalized 3-stage interview program for those who have written mains and are expecting an interview call. The stage 1 will be the individual guidance for filling DAF and preparing questions based on your DAF information. Telephonic discussion if you are not in Delhi at this point of time, and this you will be having with all the senior teachers here. Now the stage 2 will be, we will be conducting certain classes on important topics of current affairs related to economy, very critical, polity, IR, and the ethical issues, because a lot of case studies are also asked. First, there will be informal interviews with the experienced faculty and experts, and thus stage 3 will consist of the mock interviews with the experience and the diverse panel. So we have ensured that the panel is diverse, means it should not only have the people with the experience in Indian administrative services, the people from the police service, the people from foreign services, the psychologists, the journalists. So we are going to have a board which will be very diverse to cater to the multidimensional needs of this examination. You will have a video backup and one-to-one discussion on your strengths and weaknesses with the board members, and how you will get an expert advice on how you are going to handle it. Fine. The starting date of the program is 5th March. You will get the details on our website. If you are not in Delhi, you can send your DAP by mail, and we can initial level preparation, we can organize the Zoom sessions and the telephonic sessions with our expert teachers. The ending date is 30th May. The fees is just as a formality to show your seriousness and our seriousness. The mode of interaction is both offline and online. Students can call on following number for registration and appointments, and you can have a direct hotline with the teachers to handle your query. More details are available on our website. You can also do the WhatsApp on the given number. So I hope this session has been fruitful to you, and wishing you all the best for your mains results, and looking forward to facilitate your preparation in interview. Thank you.